Oh, welcome back everyone. My name is Steven Rodriguez. I'm your true champion, and that is correct. I participated in the official webcam tournament hosted by TAK Games this past weekend. I played Shinegreymon and I went X1 and got a top 8 finish. I am super happy with the performance. I actually have been playing Shinegreymon for the past week or so at every single event. Currently I'm 17-3 with the deck, but during the specific 7-round tournament I played on Saturday, I went X1 round 1, and then I proceeded to 2-0 all of my opponents after that, did the proper Steven Yellow salty run back, and I felt super good. Anyways, this is going to be my discussion about the deck list that I played, the cards within it, where I think Shinegreymon overall places in the pre-restriction 1.5 meta, and I'll briefly touch on how I think it fits in the post-restriction, but more on that in future videos. If you guys are excited or just overall happy for me that I got another top 8 finish, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so you know when my videos go live for you. Also, if you guys didn't notice, we are currently live on Twitch. I streamed the entire event, and if you ever want to see me play these events live and in person, talk with me, get my real-time thoughts, that is the best place to do so. Be sure to follow me like all these other people did. Link is down below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into my Shinegreymon Yellow deck list for set 1.5. Alright boys and girls, here we are on the deck list. As always, we're going to start up with the Digi-Eggs. We are playing the full 5. Shinegreymon games can go pretty long, so having the full 5 is super nice for that 5 free filter. You want to have a lot of cards in your hand, or at least a lot of cycling of cards in your hand, so you can find very key combo pieces like Tamers, Ultimates, or Shinegreymons, so you can achieve bigger plays. We are playing 4 Upa, 1 Cupid. These are the only draw eggs that we have in yellow right now. Personally, Cupid comes up more often than Upamon does, but we do have ways to enable 3 security, and so I like having Upa. And if our opponent is kind of like playing a more aggressive style deck and they're putting us to 3 really early, having that guaranteed draw when we're swinging with our Shinegreymons is super nice. And guys, like I said earlier, I had been playing this exact deck list of Shinegreymon for the past 4 tournaments in a row, including this online webcam event. The deck list has not changed, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. I think it's a super solid list, but I will talk about some of the changes I've been considering throughout my use of it. But moving on to the rookies, we are playing a kind of non-classic, if you will, number of rookies. I'm playing 11 in Shinegreymon. I think that's the perfect number, and I'll explain why later, but for now I'm playing 11. We have 4 copies of Patamon, 3 copies of Lopmon, 2 copies of Sala, and 2 copies of Sukai. So Patamon is just the best rookie in yellow. Being able to gain memory while you're killing your opponent's board is stupid. You can choke your opponent very efficiently with this, and just overall have more extension for your own plays, which is really nice. We have 3 copies of Lopmon. Originally, I had 3 copies of Labra in this deck way back in my all 1.5 decks video, but I've recently cut Labra and decided to play 2 Sukaimon and 1 extra Lopmon instead, because Lopmon is really good at playing around the way people normally play around you, which is hold Shine at least 4 security, so that way their Karis don't proc, their Upas don't proc, and they can't gain advantage. But having this to draw you 2 and also let you enable 3 damage is really nice for adding to your overall resources with this deck. Shinegreymon at its core is a slow setup deck. The more resources you can accumulate, the faster you can achieve your setup and just win the game, which is super nice. And finally, I'm playing 2 Sala and 2 Sukai. I think Sala is really nice because it's an extra way to sort of let the game drag out long if you are fighting against rush decks or aggro decks, which is super useful. A play I love doing is hard playing this in the late game, choke my opponent at 1 if I have TK in play, and then say, hey, you can kill this if you want to, but if you do, I'll gain a security if I have 3 or less, which is really nice. It's kind of like a deterrent of removal, but it's also just a free attacker because you don't care if it dies. And then finally, 2 Sukaimon. This was Labramon originally, but I've really been enjoying having the just free card I can play, choke my opponent at 1, or a nice little extender I can evolve into a Unimon with or something for 4 memory and still choke, but also build up. Really useful. Memory manipulation is super huge in this game, and this is a really good enabler for plays like that. For the rookies, the reason why I think 11 is correct is because in Shinegreymon, you have to play so many Tamers in order to enable Shinegreymon effect to ever do anything for you, and I thought the best place to find room for Tamers was to cut extra space out of the rookies, because in my brain, if you open any Tamer, specifically TK2 for like really nuts things, or any rookie, you're most of the time gonna be able to set up well in any game. But if you ever open up rookie plus tamer, that's like the god tier combo, which is really, really good for you. But having 11 of each, spoiler alert, I'm playing 11 tamers, is a really good way to enable that as well. So I think this is a good place to find room if you are struggling to get to that 10 or 11 number in your Shinegreymon deck. Don't be afraid to go down to 12 or even 11 rookies. Trust me, you draw plenty when you need them. Moving on to level 4s, we have 11 as well, same number as we have rookies. I'll explain why that makes sense in a second, but we have 4 copies of TrueChampionSteven and 4 copies of Uni. In my opinion, this is super standard for a lot of decks right now. Your 1-drop vanillas, again, for memory manipulation, as well as free filter, and just a big body to play around Alter S. And then 4 blockers. These are nice to play early against Rookie Rush or aggro decks, so you can stall long enough to get your setup done, which is really nice. Also, they can save you from dying, which is also really nice. And then rounding off, we have 3 copies of Repamon. This is the card that truly allows you to play a lower number of rookies because it's a champion that is the same play cost as most of your level 3s. So instead of playing like 2 and then 2 to play a level 4 from your hand, you can just play 3 and then pass, and then you're good to go for an ultimate. Also, this is really good against Omnimon decks. If they ever give you 6 and clear your board, you can go this, evolve into a champion, and then immediately get back your shine. And if you have 4 tamers, you can check the Omni, which is really nice. So Repa's a super awesome MVP card in this deck for staying efficient and just overall letting the deck flow really well, and I do like playing it. Some people are playing cards like Ankylo, Shinegreymon, all this stuff. I don't think they're better than this. This is by far the best level 4 you can sort of round off your Shinegreymon deck with. Moving on, we have the level 5s of this deck. We're playing 9 in total. I have 4 copies of Shinegreymon. He's the best one. He lets you accelerate tamers in play when you Digivolve him, and he has a super awesome inheritable effect to gain +1 security if you have 3 or more. Literally, my favorite thing to do in this deck is never attack my opponent. All I do is I try to get 1 or 2 Shinegreymons to stick with a Shinegreymon or 2, and I just swing out in 1 turn for a game with a giant dude that has plus security, and eventually they will lose. This card is the enabler for plays like that, and he's honestly super great at also accelerating your deck and getting those plays online. Up next, we have 3 copies of Sirenmon. Again, just more memory efficiency, just good cards to keep the deck flowing really well. You could play Entylomon in this spot because it has more DP and is the same Digivolution cost, but the on-play cost is super important to me because I actually like hard playing this against black or red decks so that way I can play around Digivolve as well as Alter S. And so that way, if I have 2 different named level 5s with like a Uni or TrueChampionSteven underneath, even if they Alter S, I still get to keep both ultimates, and if they Omnimon regular, I get to keep 1 of these, so I can always have my check to their Omnimon on board if I need it, which is really nice. Also, it's good at memory choking because I can just hard play this when I'm at 4 thanks to my Karis, give them 1, and then next turn go for a big Shinegreymon play. This is a super good card. I've actually considered running 4 of this over 3 because it is just so good. And then finally, rounding off, we have 2 copies of Angelwoman. This is probably the worst level 5 in the deck because she's so like particular, so like coincidental, but I might cut 1 and play a 4th Siren like I said, but overall she is nice. There is a lot of aggro decks in this format, Rookie Rush, Green, etc., and having that way to gain recovery when you are low is really nice for dragging out the game or giving you enough time to get off your big Shinegreymon plays. So far this lineup has worked really well for me. I do want to try out the 4th Siren though. I think it could be super good. All right, on to the best part of this deck. We have the level 6s. These are 2 of my favorite cards in the Digimon TCG, and I get to play both of them in this deck. Firstly, we have 4 Shinegreymon. He is the card the deck is named after. He is the definition of a bomb. He has 2 amazing effects. On Digivolve, suspend all tamers, and then for each tamer suspended, target 1 of your opponent's Digimon, give it -4000 DP. I should say rest all yellow tamers. And this is a really good way to board up your opponent, get rid of big gigantic threats they might have, and just stay there and be a solidified threat because his second effect says your turn, he gets +1000 for each tamer you have in play. I oftentimes have at least 4 to 5 in play every single game, so he's swinging for 15, 16, and if you have Shinegreymon, he has plus security attack. This guy never dies, he can swing over anything if they're rested, and it's just such a powerful card. If you ever get 2 in play and they stick, you win the game, for sure, 1000%. And finally, we have 2 copies of Slash Angemon. This, like, Shinegreymon is the best bomb in the game. This is the best yellow card in the game. I love Slash Angemon. He comes in clutch so much, and the reason why he's really good in this deck is sometimes it does take you a while to get the perfect setup of, like, at least 3 Tamers and an ultimate ready to become Shinegreymon. It can take a while, and your opponent can set up scary things in the meantime. Well, Slash Angemon is here to deal with those 90% of threats that your opponent's, like, shoving in your face and trying to pressure you with, but it's just a thing I can play whenever I want to, and they're stopped in their tracks. Really, really nice removal card. Goes really well with the rest of the cards in the deck, and that's why I like playing it over cards like Kentaurismon or Mastemon. While yes, those cards are super cool and they do different things than the cards I'm already playing, I wanted the deck to feel more flowy, more like in tune, more synergistic. So I wanted all my megas to reduce DP. I wanted all my ultimates to either get me to a place where I can live long enough to have my setup or just make my setup happen. I wanted my champions to be good, just generically, and I wanted my rookies to give me resources. I want like everything to have a certain kind of idea in this deck, and I felt like level 6s being control cards was the best way to go, and this is the best one besides Shinegreymon himself. The kids, the daycare, the cards that allow Shinegreymon to actually be broken. Like I said, we are playing 11. I have 4 copies of TK, 4 copies of starter TK, and 3 copies of Kari Kamiya. Objectively, the best one is booster set TK because never being able to be choked by your opponent is broken, and fishing through your security for key combo pieces is paramount to making sure this deck can flow really well. Love this card. If you see it on your opening turn, no matter whether or not you're going first or second, you almost always have a good game. The next best one is going to be TK starter, in my opinion, because being able to get free removal when your opponent attacks your security because your security is buffed up is really nice. There are games where if I have 2 and I check a Shinegreymon, I kill an Omnimon, which is very, very cool, and I do love seeing it. Plus, being a 2-drop is really nice to choke your opponent while also building your board. And then finally, 3 copies of Kari Kamiya. She is objectively the worst one because she can be played around by your opponent very easily, but having more ways other than just TK to kind of like make your opponent not want to attack your security is actually helpful because it gives you more time naturally to set up your board, which is super nice. I would never go as high as 12, but I would personally never go as low as 9 or 8 either. I think 11 or 10 is the perfect number for Tamers in any Shinegreymon deck. You almost always open one, and you almost always draw plenty to board wipe your opponent through turn like 5 or 6. Also, checking them in security is broken and gives you tons of value, which is super nice. And finally, wrapping up, we have 2 copies of Glorious Burst. This is probably the best option card to play at less than 2. If you could find Rue in this deck for 4 copies of Eden's Javelin, I would probably play that over this, but for right now, I just can't find the room for that. So 2 Glorious Burst is the next best thing, in my opinion. It's a super awesome removal card, basically yellow Gaia Force, that also has synergy with our main strategy because you can reduce the cost of this card by 1 for each yellow Tamer you have in play. I think the lowest one I casted today was 2-drop, I think, because I had 7 in play, which is super nice, but its main effect is one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 12,000 DP for the turn. It's basically Gaia Force against anything that's level 6 or lower, which is super clutch. But there you guys go. That'll go ahead and do it for my yellow Shinegreymon deck. I think I've gone 17-3 with this deck out of 4 different events, which is honestly super amazing. I'm not normally one that plays the same deck over and over and over again, but I wanted to give that a try, and I was really pleased with the performance. My only losses were to dead draws against Mirror and bad matchups in green and them hitting their outs but then not hearing their outs. But I'm actually even against green. I'm actually 2-2 against it, which is super nice. But overall, this deck performed really well, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who likes playing a bit of a slower game, a bit more of a setup style game, and can actually inevitably beat their opponent.